Well, here we are, everybody. I am checking out this new artist. I don't know actually how new he is. New for me. I'm going to butcher his name. I apologize. Chenyu. He's a Chinese artist, which, of course, immediately I'm going to address this. This is definitely a Chinese concert, which means there's a high probability of it being blocked if I do my usual style. So unfortunately for me, especially because it kind of like eats at my brain, I'm going to have to do the typical YouTuber stop-go method just because that's just how it's going to have to be so it doesn't get blocked. In any case, aside from that, I am super excited because I love checking out new stuff. And usually I kind of wanted to do Chinese C-pop on the Patreon, which is free. But sadly enough, I've been kind of neglectful. I know that, and I'm trying to make up for that. But usually I put most of that stuff over there. And we did Lexi Liu, and of course Lei from EXO. And this is the first time since I actually kind of said that I'm going to try and put a Chinese pop, C-pop on the channel mainstay. So anyway, I've never heard of them. This particular artist, and honestly as well, on top of it all, I have to say that I'm pretty excited. So anyway, I apologize for the different kind of formula I have to use to do this. So anyway, let's check it out. I'm going in blind 100%.
昨天我说的那个歌叫有三部曲，写给火写的与火星的孩子对话，其实是三部曲里面的第三首。昨天的那首《疯人院》是三部曲的第二首。那第一首呢，其实三部曲的第一首其实是在说一个抗抑郁症的一个事情，而且这版词其实是裴玉写的，然后他其实挺不容易的，我们为了抠这个词，总共逼他写了3版，不是修改哦，而是完完全全重新写了3版词。
Oh goodness！
因为为了要写出我想要的那个真正抗抑郁症的一个感觉，可能等一下你们听到之后会觉得，哎。
You know, one thing that I know, and I know that it's generally kind of pushed aside with a lot of smiles and happiness and aigyo and everything like that, but we know on this channel that being an idol, or really just being in kind of music in general, is very hard, and it's very, very taxing mentally, physically, and it can cause a lot of damage, and so this totally makes sense.
这个词里面会有一些你们觉得很奇怪的地方，就是可能它那个画面会让你很难理解，或者说是觉得哎怎么会是这样的一个就是很简单但是又有点抽象的一个词。其实我身边也有人当时看这个词觉得很奇怪，然后觉得好像那些画面感是不符合常理的。但是我后来还是坚持要用这版词，是因为我觉得如果一个人有抑郁症，他其实抑郁症患者最害怕的就是身边的朋友都觉得他还挺正常的，觉得他好像哎你没什么事啊，但其实那一刻，当他一个人在自己的房间里的时候，他其实非常的痛苦，所以
The mask that you put on socially, right? I remember one time I heard this thing where, like, the only time that the mask is off is when you're by yourself, and what people's perception of you is the mask that you present to them first. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Kind of an interesting little thought process.
我们不应该总是会去忽略掉他们平时的一个在我们生活当中的一个存在，然后我们需要去多关心一下他们，然后所以接下来这首歌， 我希望
That's an interesting light stick. Actually reminds me of Christmas lights. When it comes to like my Christmas lights, I really like the ones that are like the bulbed, that are soft glows. It's cool.
你们可以安安静静的来聆听，这首歌叫做《好想爱这个世界啊》。
All right, here we go. Let's hear it. Immediately, I'm getting some classical vibes right there with that.
抱着沙发，睡眼昏花，凌乱头发，却渴望像电影主角一样潇洒。
I could see how people think that this is pretty different, but, you know, I have something to say about that.
屋檐脚下排着路亚，密密麻麻，被压抑的情绪不知如何表达。无论我在这里，在哪里，仿佛失魂多聪明，却明白此刻应该做些努力。
He's got a very nice tone, though. I really like his tone. And he's got the thing that's always really cool, especially a lot of times if you're somebody who works out your core, you're going to have a really, really strong ability to make these notes. And that's kind of what's going to be cool about this discussion.
无论我在这里，在哪里，不能弥补的过去，每当想起，想过离开，以这种方式存在，是因为那些旁白，那些自带，那些伤害，不想离开。当你说还有你在，忽然我开始莫名期待。
This is very interesting. I think there's actually kind of something here that really builds up. It feels a lot more atmospheric than a lot of the music that we've had. Very atmospheric. That's cool sounding.
心里心里想，放着电话无人拨打，是习惯孤独的我该得到的吧。不巧呀，把谁推销才算赢家？我无声的反抗，何时能战胜它？无论我在这里，在哪里。 仿佛失魂的聪明，却明白此刻应该做些努力。无论我在这里，在哪里，不能明。
I think maybe even for some people that are maybe not aware that a lot of times language can actually really affect the sound of things as well. Decent range. Bit of a belter. It's like soft belting. Hey, look, this is pretty dang good. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's kind of talk about this a little bit, because from what I've heard, apparently this particular artist has kind of some heat on him, and I don't know if that's a wrestling term or just average speak, but basically he has a lot of haters, and because of his styling. And let's talk about why, maybe for a chance, that is a misconceived idea. And that is mainly for something like this. Kind of an interesting way to do his slides, but you know what? That is not necessarily unheard of in music. Is it different? Yeah, I'd say it's pretty different. I'd say it's pretty uncommon. But the truth of the matter is that because it's something that is uncommon, because it's something that a lot of people don't see / hear very much, it's probably pretty safe to assume that they're probably just not used to having something like this be readily available. It's kind of like yodeling, right? Like if you have yodeling and your music is like, suddenly there's an artist that gets somewhat big or gets really big or whatever and they yodel, but it's like non-traditional yodeling music. Like let's say you're listening to R&B. Say somebody puts out a song, it's R&B, and suddenly they start to yodel. You'd be like, what? That's really too weird. And I kind of wonder if that's what people are talking about. I don't know. This is my first time. I just heard that apparently he's got quite a bit of haters. But that, to me, sounds like it's just a lack of understanding of what the vision is. But the truth is does that really take away the emotion from what he's trying to get in? I don't think that does. I really don't think that should be any sort of concern. If it's really that big of an output, then honestly, it's probably just something that's not meant for you. And if you're one of those people that hate someone because it's something that you don't personally find any way to connect with, then you should just move on. But, so let's talk about some stuff. He's clearly more of a belter as well. And again, he has a great range. He has some pretty good range. I feel like this is a lot more, funny enough, in terms of like structure and sound, it's actually fairly more, I would say, traditionally done than, say, like for me, I feel like when I listen to a group like SB19, a lot of their stuff is really experimental and has like a lot of different sounds and it's very dramatic, whereas this feels more traditional, almost kind of classical music-esque in a lot of ways. Very pretty. I did have to say, like, as somebody who's generally not really had a lot of people surrounding him, I totally get what they're going for in this song. It feels pretty relatable. See, and again, when it comes to writing music, slides like that generally is the prolonging of how you feel lonely. Like, it's you projecting it, I should say. You projecting that you feel lonely. I mean, he even says that. The way he reaches out his hand, it's definitely something of longing and wanting to reach out. See, body language is something that I feel like I could do a million different videos on. I like that. You know, I just really like how he's just going up and down on those scales. Like I said, it feels very traditional. Like classical music traditional. I remember when I first started taking music lessons and I started trying to write music, and I understand that a lot of times things are very dramatic, especially in the world of music. And that's kind of one of the more interesting things that I would love to kind of discuss, I guess, in a sense. Because for me, I remember when I first started writing, my teacher came up to me and they said, if you're going to start writing music, just to understand that if you really truly want to be able to connect with people, your music should scare you. And it took me a long time to figure out why, but I think it's because a lot of times music, I feel like, is meant to confront in some ways. You know, like if you're going to be writing an emotional song, you have to confront your emotions. You have to confront what's making you feel like why you should write that. And I admit, like I've put down pen to paper quite a few times, and as I start writing, I'm just like, I got too scared, and it was too hard to keep going, and a lot of times I just ended up scrapping them. And it's something that I feel like is necessary, though, in terms of music. Do I think that he's like a super weird sounding artist? I can think of like a couple right off the top of my head, and this is probably the first time I've ever dropped this name on the channel. But Dimash, that's a very very different voice. Vitas, also very different, probably more different than this. This is, I think he has a unique style. I wouldn't say that it's like, whoa, this is too weird for me. I mean, like, come on. I'm impressed. I like this. And honestly, I am tempted to, I shouldn't say tempted, I would be very interested in seeing more. So if you are a fan of Chenyu, leave some suggestions down in the comments below. And I do have one other song that I do have that I'll probably be posting as soon as I can get to it from his. I think it was the one that he mentioned, Madhouse. That's probably the next one I'll do. So anyway, if you like this as much as I did, please let me know down in the comments below. Thank you, and bye Victus.